Hello, everyone. Welcome to Tapped In with Vera Lead Biz Solutions. I'm Fran Strickland. Today I'm here with Jen Carpenter, who is the owner founder of Secure and Savvy Solutions. Tapped In with Vera Lead Biz Solutions is all about helping owners, founders, entrepreneurs, those people who are out there moving and shaking, continuing to grow and evolve, not only in their businesses and professions, but also personally. Hi, Jen. Thank you so much for being with us today on Tapped In. How are you doing?
Super fantastic. Thank you for asking. It's really great to be back and record here with you. It's been a while, so it's really good to connect and happy to be on the journey.
Yes. Jen, it's been now since I think we first met in 2024. And I remember some of the
Okay, yeah, I believe
conversations
so.
that we've had. Yeah. So before we get into any conversation, I'd like for you to just lay out for us what are you helping people with and who are you serving?
Excellent. Thank you for asking. Secure and Savvy Solutions is all about peace of mind, safety, and security, realistically, in the two different ways that I do work with people. Business owners, people who are honoring multiple roles and goals. So, people that are a primary income provider in their home, a business owner, entrepreneurs. Um, Also, they may have children, so people that are possibly parents, or I say you have a partner or a pet. So you have the weight that you're carrying possibly of honoring all of those roles and goals, but what about you? So being
Hmm.
able to align your life to make empowered and aligned decisions so you could be the best version of you while serving other people. It's all about being present and productive so that you could be present in your life with your partner, your children, but still take care of you. So business can be a very high top priority, but you are also a very high top priority. And that's really where the real shifts come in. You can't run around constantly doing. You need to take some time being. And I was told this many years ago. So mind flow mastery coaching and what I call my ease community. The community is a group that meets once a week. The coaching is one to one, but I also have an online space where everybody can grow better together. And I say that you come here to receive what you didn't know you needed, basically. You know how those conversations occur. You can come in with a plan. We very often think we have to be all prepared and planned. Now I just show up and I just show up and I let the magic happen. Whatever comes out of those conversations is whatever's meant to be that day. So we always, like I said, tend to be so planned and prepared. So yeah, mindful mastery coaching, ease community. Ease stands for evolution, ascension, sustainability, and expansion. You've already said evolve and grow. So I've kind of fallen into those words of evolution, expansion, and elevation, really, to grow better together. There's a bunch more of what EASE stands for, too. There's more acronyms that have come from it. We make everything exciting, aligned, simple, and easy. Life is much
Hmm.
better when everything's more exciting, aligned, simple, and easy. The second way is when I really started in the coaching program that I was with in August of 22 and where I met you, is providing business owners with affordable legal resources to save money on common legal needs, but then empowering and protecting people by having access to personal legal support, helping you with problems you would never expect to deal with or everyday things. And then identity theft protection, so information security. So that's business legal plans and employee benefits. So I still do all of that, but really it's all centered around peace of mind, safety, and security, and being the best version of yourself that you can be.
Okay. So you provide a breadth of services, all of which can have the impact, can have an impact of creating unease because they can create stressful situations. And I know that when you and I first met, part of what you certainly did for me is to help me navigate those points when there was unease, and really understand some of the internal dynamics necessary to be successful and actually capture the essence of what we were learning in that high-end coaching situation. But before now we go to the next thing, because there's a lot of questions rolling around in my head, as
Sure.
you might
Yeah. Yeah.
imagine.
Yes.
As you talked, I got the impression that there is your story behind
Yes.
where you are today. Do you mind sharing a little bit about your journey?
Yeah, it's evolved in ways I never expected it to. Super brief, 6 years ago, I stepped into entrepreneurship, didn't know anything about sales, business, nothing. I just had said to myself, basically, there has to be another way. I had had a 6-day hospitalization in 2019, dealt with many different traumatic events and different things in my life since I was 16, but that one in 2019 is really what catapulted me into this is not what I signed up for, and parenting and working, and it just didn't make sense how standard society says that things are supposed to be. And here I was hospitalized for 6 days with a 4 and 5 year old out of nowhere. So, well, really not out of nowhere. Obviously there was something that led me to that point. Yeah, but so I stepped into the business services, the employee benefits. I evolved into that, but really my biggest shift was hiring my first business coach in August of 22, which was Sajad Hussein of Cause and Effect Consulting, and we worked, that's where we met. But that was the biggest shift. And so the number one thing was learning to love and respect myself and be able to take and that's the thing too with my program is people that are in transitions, but you might not know how that transition is going to look. Your life wants to change, but you're really not sure how, whether that's more income or better relationships, whatever that is. So a year after completing that program, I significantly changed my life. I went part-time in my healthcare career. I left my corporate job, and I left my 18-year relationship, both of those, one day after another in October of 2023. And that year also was when I went through my coaching program that I became certified to teach what I learned. So I did not know that this coaching program and this experience was going to be part of my journey. So I did not actually write the full program. Orlia Moore was my coach. It's called Mindset Mastery. And I kind of shifted it into mind flow because I think you don't want to be set in your mind. So I just kind of shifted it into that and developed my own community around that. But the program is truly written by Orlia Moore, and she actually has a degree in law and psychology. So that really is what gave me the strength and the power to be able to make those decisions. I didn't know how much I was lacking in confidence. I didn't know who I was or what I wanted anymore out of life. And then once I decided to pay attention to all of those things that were going on around me, instead of living in a victim mentality and a people pleasing mentality, I learned very clearly what all of that was. And I decided
Mhm.
that that was not the life I wanted to live anymore. So
Mhm.
that's where the biggest shifts came August of 22, 23. And then just briefly, too, back in October of 2025, I had a really massive shift, too. And we can get more into that in the conversation. But that's really where, like, decluttering my life and walking away from another relationship that I had been in for a year. I had, I say it gets easier and easier every time to make empowered and aligned decisions. They may be uncomfortable, but it gets easier and easier every time. So I had a really big shift back in October of 2025 as well, as far as this whole identity piece of stepping into the identity really of who you were always meant to become. And just because I'm on it, I'll say my name for my next level identity of who I'm stepping into was kind of given to me, but it is Celebrity Jen Carpenter. And so I met Scott Humphreys back in August at Sajad's wedding, and he kept calling me Celebrity Jen Carpenter, and it just kind of stuck with me. So now when I question myself, like, is this what Celebrity Jen Carpenter would do? Or is this what the old version of me would do? Or, I'm not supposed to hang out with those people. These are the people that celebrity Jen Carpenter are meant to be surrounded by, that whole thing. And so I was on another podcast and we talked about it. And she goes, you know what? I've been doing that for years too. And I've been hearing my clients do it. So, like, it's become a tool to use, is why I'm adding it, is that it's like when you begin to question and pay attention to what's going on, that's a really easy way to be able to make the choice that you want that is aligned with your roles and your goals and all of that. So, yeah, celebrity Jen Carpenter.
So Jen, so as you were speaking, clearly there were some how shall I describe that? There were inflection points, changes in your personal life that prompted a need to reflect and to change direction. Health things can definitely set you on a reflective journey and will
Yes.
influence how you want to show up. And then you certainly talked about the reality of who you want to become, that new vision of yourself. Basically, now what I call telling the real story of who you are versus the story that might have just evolved without any attention. But there's
Yeah.
something that's very interesting when you talk about the celebrity Jen Carpenter.
Yes.
In what ways? I think it would be helpful for people to hear more
Yeah.
concretely. In what ways? And just give a couple.
Yeah.
Is the celebrity Jen different than
Yeah.
the Jen that started
Yeah.
way back when?
I do what's best for me. One of my main mantras is doing what's best for me is what's best for me and my children. So putting myself first is actually what's best. Usually, as a parent, you feel guilty about spending time on yourself and doing what you need to do for you. And you feel guilty that you're not doing enough for your children or whatever it is. So I had that experience from a specific decision that I made, that I came up with that mantra. And that actually, if I sway from that, then the result in the outcome usually isn't a great situation. So there's only been a couple times where I didn't quite still stick to that. So it's being able to make decisions more quickly and with confidence. So earlier in the year, I ended up hiring two people that I didn't expect to work with. And normally I would question myself in, is this the right decision? I wouldn't ever in the past, because I lived in such bare minimum, I wouldn't invest in myself in general. Like, I've lived a very simple
Mhm.
life as a woman, but even in business, we're told to invest in yourself, spend money before you have money, because the outcome and the benefits are greater. So I didn't know in this one conversation, I had no intention of hiring this person, but I must have subconsciously already made the decision in my head. But normally
Mhm.
I would sit there and I would question it and be like, the money and, you know, is this the right choice? Because of your past experiences, maybe this other choice you had didn't go the way you expected it. That type of stuff. So that's huge. And then really the other big thing I've developed, I was not meant to be an abused, broke victim living in a life of people pleaser. Like, to be totally real and honest. I used to say, brutally honest, brutal honesty, but now I just say like radical honesty. It's a little more kind. Um, Being able to acknowledge that that's the life I was living. When you look at what you don't like, then you can decide what you do like and what you do want. I want to show up as joyful, focused, confident, in the essence of my energy, radiant, and fun, And I wasn't showing up that way a long time.
Mhm.
Even possibly when we met originally, I still hadn't really stepped into my power. So deciding, when you take a look at what's really going on with what you don't like, and understand that you do have the power to change it, even if you don't know how it's going to change, and you don't have to have it all figured out. You just have to have the courage to try and do uncomfortable things, set boundaries for yourself, stick to them. Um, yeah, those are some of the biggest shifts.
Mm. So, as you were talking, you were saying, one of your mantras has been to say you do what's best for yourself and your children.
Yeah.
And when I'm working with my clients, and with some of the earliest conversations that I have with them is around their values. And so I just want to triangulate a little bit with the audience because those values are kind of like they really are your boundaries. And that as you establish your routines around your business, you really lead with those values. What are
100%.
your boundaries? What are the things that are truly important? And I always say to people, especially when we have people with families, whether they may be with partners or not, that when you start your business that you have a family, and that's going to be a priority. And that very true thing that you said about people pleasing, and what everybody else says is that if indeed that your family is going to lead, they're going to lead you to respond in a certain way, and
Hmm.
you are clear that what happens is certainly in the context of what is good and best for you and your family, then make that a part of your daily planning and activities,
100%. Yeah.
because you're not in conflict with your boundaries. You have it foundationally. This is what it means, and it helps you, to your point, as you said, make decisions more easily, faster, because you have that clarity.
100%. I say that you already have what you need. And so from the very beginning, the first thing I learned was clarity of self. And those
Hmm.
three words are what I determined is to show up joyful, focused, and present. And that was actually the first program I ever did in like 2021. It was like $1,000. It was these two women, high performing coaches, like a group setting. But that was the very first thing that I learned like 6 years ago, 5 years ago, and it has never changed since then. To show up every day, it's the essence of who I am. It's the everything that my program is about, being able to show up joyful, focused, and present. And then the values, we went through that too in the very beginning. So it's very foundational. Not even like a test to do it, but just like pick three, whatever it is.
Hmm.
Honesty, integrity, and compassion. The perfectionism piece is strong in people. So we tend to be very, very hard on ourselves when we, don't do something well, even if you look at the lesson learned and you know what you can do differently. Sometimes that stuff weighs heavily on you.
Hmm.
So being able to um, be honest with yourself and others about what is real, what is true for you, and be honest with others. Do what you say you're going to do, integrity, personally and professionally. Do your best to say and do what you're going to do, and then have love and compassion for yourself when things don't go as planned. I had a season about a month ago where I spent like a whole weakness on for a weekend on forgiveness, really forgiving myself for my past wrongdoings in my personal life, professionally, whatever it is. And it just was weighing really heavily on me. So I had to kind of sit and work through that for a weekend with love and compassion for myself. And then even recently, this past month, there's been so much going on worldwide. I don't even get involved in any of it, but I'm just saying it's all there. It's not just me. Many other people are going through these experiences. The energy is a wonky thing right now in the world. So a lot of people have just been like fatigued over the past month, just feeling a little more stressed. Things are just a little heavier, whatever that is, and acknowledging it and doing what you can with it. So, like I said, I kind of even recently had this more, and I'm taking action on it. I'm putting other things in place to address what I'm talking about. Just being really hard on ourselves. I've been really hard on myself lately, even though I'm talking about having love and compassion on yourself. But being able to, again, acknowledge it, feed your mind, body, soul more of what it needs, be loving and kind to yourself as much as possible, You got to do the best with what you've got. So yeah, integrity, honesty, and compassion for sure.
So it's, I mean, as you speak, I can hear that there's a certainty. I mean, if as you're speaking, I've got this mind picture of you walking across a meadow, but you're very sure-footed in, the steps that you're taking and where you're going. But tell me, during this time, and as you look back now, you see where you are, you know where you started.
Yeah.
What was the biggest challenge for you to adapt or to transform? And do you still find yourself drifting back? And what do you do about it?
So that's actually what everything is all about. It's even what I just said is identifying the fact that what we refer to it as slippage back to the way that you were before, knowing what you know now, but we still have a tendency to be pulled back to those old patterns.
Hmm.
Fear comes up, old limiting beliefs, and you're rewriting each of those one at a time, realistically.
Hmm.
Um, so tell me your exact question one more time again, because I had a thought and I wanted to make sure I'm answering it properly.
Yeah,
One
is
where I
that
go ahead, say it one more time.
where did you find that you had the biggest challenge in adapting or transforming? And when that happens, what do you do about it? Or
Number
when you
one is
slip
belief.
back?
Number one is belief, actually. Everything comes down to truly believing. I've been asked this for years. Do you believe that you're strong, confident, and powerful? Do you believe
Hmm.
that you're beautiful? Do you believe that success is inevitable for you? Even if you're 6 years, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years in, that stuff doesn't go away. Fear doesn't go away. The limiting beliefs don't go away. Belief is probably the biggest thing. So back in the fall, one of the biggest shifts I went through is I've been on this journey for a long time. I had never heard of Neville Goddard. And basically, it's all about reconnecting to the feeling. And so we're very logic minded people, brilliant, doing, 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 also very masculine energy. I didn't know that I was living in a masculine energy for 20 years and was not stepping into my feelings at all. And I also do agree you don't want to get your feelings in the way of business or how you need to show up with your children. You got to do what you got to do. But it doesn't work if you don't deal with your feelings at all outside of
Hmm.
any of this. So you have to have powerful practices in place, whatever they are, to use in the moment when you fall into the fear, the doubt, the uncertainty, the limiting beliefs, or your old patterns and programming that you can flip the switch in a moment to know how to do
Hmm.
that. And then also practices outside of that. So, to be honest, in October, I was in this abundance challenge. And one of the
Hmm.
biggest things that I chose to rewrite the belief of, and I just am telling you this because the power of rewriting one belief alone can take care of a whole bunch of different things. Because a lot of it comes down to the same two or three like fears or limiting beliefs that come up.
Hmm.
So the mantra I came up with is that I don't need to be everybody's solution to everybody's problems. And you cannot help people who don't want to help themselves or be helped by others. That had to do with like a specific thing I was dealing with at the
Hmm.
time, but it's all encompassing because when you come up with when you're in a place where you're questioning something or you don't know what to do or what should I do in this case, it's usually the same few things that you can solve that problem with. So sometimes I want to provide so much value. It goes back to the people pleasing stuff, but not everybody is worthy and deserving of my expertise or my time or my space or my energy, and I have to remind myself to hold back a little bit because I just want to give, give, give to everybody I know and everybody I meet and everybody I come across.
Hmm.
So I have to pause and tell myself I don't need to be everybody's solution to everybody's problems because I'm not. And when you've lived that way for 20 years, it's something you need frequent reminding of. So, shifting one belief at a time is extremely powerful. 95% of our thoughts are subconscious. 90% of them, I believe, are repetitive. It's the same ones typically that are running programs in our mind. And when you can identify one, two, three at a time, you'll realize that each of those is what's limiting you in many different areas of your life.
Mm,
It's not just in a relationship, it's limiting you in your relationship, your deeper connection with yourself, your connection with your children, your business, whatever it is. You wouldn't even, it's very, so much power in that. So being able to have practices outside of your work too, like I said, I actually do less now than I ever have in 6 years. The
mhm,
less I do, the better everything gets.
mhm,
Really.
mhm,
Waking up in the morning and only spending 30 minutes, if I can, or more, with myself when I wake up and when I go to bed. That's extremely important as a parent, as a provider, whatever that is. Um, and having a pause. I teach people to have a pause, 5 minutes a few times a day. Pause, breathe, do nothing, open your eyes, have your eyes closed, whatever works for you. So, like having those practices in place allow you to come back to who you are and
mhm,
not allow it to be pulled in that other direction
mhm,
that it very often will keep tugging and pulling.
mm. So,
Doesn't go away.
so you really packed a lot into what you've just said. And as always, we look at the clock and we are like just about out of time. So I'm going to say
No
this, and then I
problem.
have two little quickie questions for you. The first,
Yes.
so just from what you just said, I've heard that one, it's not it's wise to expect that these same feelings are going to come back, because it is a matter of practicing, and basically when something comes up, you're basically saying that's no longer true, that was then, this is now. And then
Yes.
having practices outside of that loop that actually diverts your attention and brings you back to that awareness of who you are, or what you've become. And the third thing that that really just stuck with me is just the statement: giving yourself a window of time, a pause during the day, but also personally in the morning and at night before you go to sleep, is really quite healthy. And so for the audience, I said, guys, grab onto that, because
Mhm.
these are things that in real time that you can tap into. So this leads now, Jen, to my two little tiny questions as we're just about to wrap up. First of all, what would you like to share with the audience, that idea or that takeaway? And then, secondly, please tell us how people can get in touch with you if they want to work with you.
Um, I would say one of the biggest things that was told to me is that if you have a situation right now that you're acknowledging and paying attention to, that you want to change, whatever that is, just imagine how beautiful your life can be 3 months from now, 6 months from now, 1 year from now. That is actually what catapulted me into making some of the most difficult decisions I've ever had to make. And when you look back, when you are 3 months out, you'll be like, holy cow, my life is so different. So there's so much power in making one decision of how big, how largely that can impact your life.
Mm-hmm.
You know, nose to the ground, working your butt off for 3 to 6 months, how much that can change, whatever it is. Focusing only on you for 3 to 6 months, how massive that impact can be. So that was a very powerful statement, and I use that quite often. If you're in a tough time, whatever it is, just identify what's going on and then decide that you have the power to change it. Very often we could take control where we don't think we have control, even though letting go of control is massively important also at the same time. So yeah, that's a very, very powerful thing. I say you don't know how bad it is until you're not in it anymore. You
Right,
can't see what's going on until you're outside of it.
right.
So yeah, I am Jen Carpenter, secure and savvy everywhere on all social media platforms. You could definitely connect with me on LinkedIn. And I do invite people to come visit my group once at no charge if they're ever interested. It's Thursdays at 1:30 Central for 1 hour.
Okay. All right. So, folks, there you had it. Jen, I really, really appreciate your coming on my platform and giving
Yes.
us this opportunity to hear about your journey and the insights. that you have applied real time to your own life. So it's not one of those things, do as I say, do not as I do. And so that's always inspiring for people to see firsthand someone who is living and applying what they talk about on a daily basis. So to the audience, thank you for joining us. I really appreciate you being here. Hopefully you will walk away with something that will transform how you are thinking about your own personal growth and evolution. Jen, thank you again. You're fantastic. And I'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Okay,
Yes, thank you everyone for having me.
sure. Take